One, two, 1, 2, 3.
second live stream, episode 2. And we were having some little technical things as it goes, learning this live streaming thing. Am I on camera 1? Yes. So by the way, that was a track from Jim Riley's book, Survival Guide for the Modern Drummer. That was track 71, like a syncopated snare funk track. That's the first time I ever played it. Super fun. Definitely get that book. My friend Jim put so much work into that book, and it's a great resource. Hold on one second. I got Billy talking to me. I cannot hear you.
I can't hear you either. You want to record on the Logic?
Yeah, we can record to Logic. You know what? Leave it off. Leave it off. Why not? And the second thing I want to bring up is my book, Filling in the Grooves, which a lot of the stuff that I'm teaching in this live streams are based on the book. So I just want to bring that to your attention. This is it was a lot of work, super big book on drum fills, really super fun. So pick that up if you get a chance. Print, it's in digital. All right, so tonight I'm talking about the 6-stroke roll. Definitely one of our favorite rudiments. It's one of my favorite rudiments. And definitely, we're over here. So definitely I'm going to start from the beginning with this one, talking about sort of how the roll is constructed, what we can use it for, and I definitely was turned on to this by, I'm pretty sure, the use of it by my friend Dave Clive, like when I was a kid. But I'm not sure about that. But I think it was Dave who said, like, hey man, you don't know the 6-stroke roll? And I was like, well, no. And he was like, you got to get on that. So I'm going to break this thing down. It's really a super useful rudiment. Okay. So the first thing is, let me grab my practice pad. We're just going to go through like basic stickings. Now, all of the PDFs for tonight's stuff is available in a download in the description of this live stream. And by the way, before I get too deep into this, we don't have a camera on him tonight, but we will. Billy Gonzalez is over at the controls helping me run this live stream. And he's running all the cameras, he's running all the background stuff. And so a little shout out to Billy Gonzalez for all of his help. And we'll get that camera on him soon and get him picture in picture. Oh, they don't have my voice?
They don't hear. They said the audio is very low.
Oh, all right. Hold on. Check. How's that? Look, we're learning as we go. I had the mic off because of the track. So, how's that? Do you have my voice now? Is it happening? Is it good? It sounds a little distorted in my headset, but that could just be my headphones. All right. My voice is there? We're good? All right, so here we go. This is what we're going to do. I'm pretty sure you guys have my voice happening. All right, so let's break down the 6-stroke roll. What is this thing? So if you were to look in most marching literature, it's not written the way that I'm going to teach it tonight, but I'll show you what that would probably be. So, and I'll play it in 16th notes and 8th notes, so it's real simple. 1 and a 2E and 3 and a 4E and 1 and a 2E and 3 and a 4E and 1. Okay, so a 16th note based rhythm or 32nd note based rhythm. Okay. So we're going to take all of those strokes and open them up and make them evenly spaced. So we're going to turn it into a triplet subdivision. So now the rate would be same exact sticking, which I neglected to mention. Before I went right, left, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, right, correct? And now I'm going to straighten that out into triplets. Right, left, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Or for southpaws, left, right, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, left, right, left. And before we push that too quick, you'll notice that I'm really just letting the sticks do the work. I'm bouncing the sticks off of the practice pad and staying super relaxed with that. Just let the sticks do the work. Let them come back to you. Utilize your free stroke. And so this rudiment, when we straighten those strokes out into that triplet pulse, now it could be another rate, but for the moment we're going to stick with triplets. You'll notice that I'm using very high strokes right now because I'm playing it slowly. As it gets quicker, you'll notice my hands divide the time. So maybe from the overhead, we can see that as I increase the tempo, the strokes get divided and they get lower to the drum. And as it gets even faster, you'll notice that there's a little rotation in the wrist because we're using basically low molar, or a whipping stroke if you want to call it that. We'll call it low molar. And we're using sort of a whip of the wrist, and I kind of, in my style, I just have a turn of the wrist. So, you know, I couldn't get this 6-stroke roll much faster than this when I was younger, and I was kind of like, well, how am I going to get that, you know, faster? You try to move my wrist faster. And then I realized, and I hadn't had any formal instruction on this at that point, that if I started to turn my wrist a little bit, it became easier to execute it at higher tempos. So, and you'll see my right has a bit more of a curve than even my left. It's just a style thing, I suppose. So you notice that the strokes get pretty low. And, you know, let's just talk real quick about, as far as rudiments go, there's technically 2 rudiments in the 40 rudiments that have 2 single strokes in the numbered roll system, right? So the 6-stroke roll and the 10-stroke roll, those are the 2 that have 2 singles in them. I'm pretty sure that, you know, soon I'm going to have an article on this. I think I've stumbled upon brand new rudiments. I'm not going to get into it tonight, but they're all based on the same idea of 2 singles. And for the 6-stroke roll, it's those 2 singles that give it that sort of propulsion, right? That push forward sound that it has. It feels like it's moving forward. Now, before I go any further and get into anything technical, there's a style application that works really well for this. And so I'm just going to take a moment to talk about, and this is also in the PDFs, the Motown Fill. So this is how I kind of had my buddy say, like, hey, you don't know the 6-stroke roll fill? You know, the Motown Fill? And so the Motown Fill is basically this. It's a 6-stroke roll, and we're gonna hit the tom, and then we're gonna answer the tom with a 6-stroke roll in the middle. However, there are many interpretations of that Motown Fill. So there's 3 that I put in this, 3 or 4 that I put in the PDF. So there's basically interpretations, right? So I'm gonna play you what the basic rhythm of the Motown Fill is without filling it in. And so the Motown Fill, does it have to be played just in Motown? Of course not. I use it all the time. I love the fill. But I'm going to show you the basic structure of it, and then 3 different ways that we could fill in the little space in between. So I'm actually going to shut off my mic for this because I feel like it's a little louder tonight. But check this out. So we have 1, we'll do it on beat 3, 3, a 4, and. So that's removing all the middle strokes. I'm actually going to leave my mic on for a moment, just if somebody in the chat can like say if it's a problem or not. So I'll do that fill again, and I'm going to go into a groove. So if I went... So that's that rhythmic structure. 3, a 4, and 1. And that's a great entrance fill for a song. And that could go on any drum. I actually substituted the bass drum, if you notice, on the first one instead of answering with the tom, which is another way to approach that, right? Okay. So, how are we doing with the voice mic? Is that okay, or should I cut it?
So no one said anything yet in the chat. The overhead camera went narrow.
Oh, did it? I don't have the voice thing on, so all right, I'll try to fix that in a moment. The only way for me to fix that is to open up the app for the GoPro. Okay, so let's talk about, so what can we do in between that? So the first thing is, and you know, some people feel stylistically this is a choice that you can make. So what if we did what they call a crush roll or a little buzz roll right in between the primary strokes? So if I went, okay, so that was a closed 5-stroke roll. Buzz, buzz, tap, tom. Tom, buzz, buzz, tap, tom, right? And that's fine. I don't happen to like that one. I don't happen to use that one, but that was definitely used on some records. And that's just, again, a 5-stroke closed roll. Now, what if we used a 5-stroke open roll and then we answer? So that works well, and that actually leans towards where we're going. So a 5-stroke open roll in the middle. Okay, so does that work as a Motown fill? Certainly does, right? So the first choice was the closed one. The second choice is the open one. I'm going to do both, and I'm going to play just a straight groove. So we'll go. Okay, so we did the closed roll, we did the open roll. Now, when you substitute the 6-stroke roll for the same space, it's a little swingier. It also fills up all the space in between, which I happen to like, and I think it smooths it over in a way. But I feel like it's also, I don't know, it has sort of sophistication to it, I think. Or it brings me joy. How about that? Okay, so if I do the 6-stroke roll, I'll do the first note up on top. I'm filling in between. I have that ta-ta-doom, which is part of our source rhythm, right? But I'm filling in all the notes in between. So I'm playing basically 3 triplet and triplet 4 and, right? And you know, for you drummers who are a little more advanced, who have been playing for a while, you know this, right? It's super common. Sounds great, though, right? So it's something we love to use. One, two. Good sounding fill. Seriously useful. It shows up, again, it's a style thing, but also it just works. It works just as good as Pat Boone, Debbie Boone, right? All those simple leading fills. You could do both of those. So I just did Pat Boone, Debbie Boone, boom. That's a nice little combination, right? We should come up with a name for that one. Who's in the chat? Is Rocco in there? Rocco, come up with a name for that. Okay, so we take that original source rhythm, doom, ta ta doom. Now we could play doom, ta ta ka doom, right? 3, a 4 E N. So we do the 6-stroke roll followed by 4 E N. These are in my book, by the way. On there's a page called Deep Sixth, and there's also a entrance fills page, but I think it's on the Deep Sixth page. So that looks like this. So if I go 3, a 4 E N, right? So we have that zakatung on the end of that. It could be, you know, let's do a different tempo. Okay. By the way, I'm just going to address this real quick. I hum when I play. So like when I'm in the studio recording, I've had engineers say like, "Oh, you know you hum when you play." I'm like, "I know, I know." So I kind of hum grooves. If it's the bass line of a song, I might hum that. I might hum the melody. I'm always humming something. It makes a deeper connection for me with the music. So if you hear me humming with this mic on, that's part of the reason why I kept muting the mic, but maybe it's okay. So maybe you can mention if it's okay, unless it drives you crazy. Okay, so back to some uses. So the six-stroke roll, if we just use it the way we just did, we can orchestrate a lot of different ways. So there's orchestration, and there's the original six-stroke roll rudiment. Now, I have some add-ons and stuff, and we're going to kind of branch out into a system of adding on other notes to it. However, just on its own, what if we just did, I'll put it on the hi-hat in a groove, and I'll just sprinkle it in. Now, I could do this. If I'm playing, I'll play sort of a two-handed 16th note-y groove, and then I'll play it off of my backbeat. So that's one way we can utilize that. Actually, I'll do that ahead of time. It looks like this. So I'm playing that same six-stroke roll. We could go the other way. But I'm going to play it off of the backbeat. So it would look like this. I'll play like a 16th note pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. So off of the backbeat, it's kind of nice. It's sort of sprinkles, you know, in your groove. It's not the main groove. We're not going to use that for an entire groove. I think it would sound kind of ridiculous. But as a little bit of sprinkles, you know, to put on the icing. Right? So it just has a nice feel to it. It's very smooth. You know, obviously, I spent some time working on the sticking from when I was a kid and just getting that roundness to happen. Now, what if we use it in a groove? What if we split it and we went sort of, I'm pretty sure I stole this from Dave Weckl, but what if I did sort of splits here where I'm going... So it's really the same idea, but it just has a nice kind of nuance coming off of the ride cymbal. Okay, so orchestration, right? And it could go any which way we want. What if I just did... right? It works from any surface that I'm going to throw it on. Continuous ones. Nice in a soloing context or maybe in a fill. I have to really work out these microphones because I know I'm going to keep hitting this snare mic. Right? Or maybe... So, again, it's really an orchestration thing. Now, what if we move it? Let's put it on the and of the beat. So this is before I get into any of the add-ons. I have some combinations coming up where there's add-ons, but I'll just put it on the and instead of on the downbeat. So instead of playing 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we'll play it like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Now I just played and 4, and 4, and 4, and 1, and and 4 N? What if I went and 4 En? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 Enda. And 4 Enda. You want me to fix that camera, Billy? I could do it quick. So bear with me. I'm actually going to, let me turn down that channel. Hey, so John Schneider, one of my students, texted me during this and said, new rudiments, yay. I'm not bringing up the new rudiments yet because I want to make sure that like I kind of have this article slotted to go somewhere first. Hero 7 Black. We're going to make this camera look nice and wide. We have to do this with the app. It's actually, listen, GoPros are pretty cool, but they are kind of quirky. And I actually had the voice controls on my GoPros, and every time I would say the word in the room, any word about playing, recording, the cameras would start doing things that I didn't want them to do. It's back? Okay. I don't even know if I should close this. I'm going to leave this. My phone's probably going to die. All right, here we go. So so let's move along. So we're putting these we're displacing the 6-stroke roll a little bit. So we could play 1 and started on the and of 1. Now this could be a longer fill. What if I did a couple of different 6-stroke roll fills starting on the and of 1? Now we're going to play almost a full bar. I should have, I went from the end of 3. Now I'm all the way back at the end of 1, but it's all right. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 3, 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and. So I'm playing a couple little add-ons in there we'll talk about. But the point being is if you move this onto different parts of the bar, it works really, really well. And it makes it more interesting. It's less, sort of everybody expects to hear. But if you go 1, 2, and 1, or 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. So you could really start it on any of the ends in the bar. And I, say you should really experiment with that. Have some fun with it. Now, how many beats does a 6-stroke roll take up? If we play 16th note triplets, it takes up a quarter note, right? So if we just play quarter notes, we're playing the substitution of a 6-stroke roll. So it'd sound basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now what if we have a little piece of it that we use to offset it? So we're going to put it on the downbeats, and then I'm going to move it by an 8th note by playing part of the sticking. For you righties, it'll be right, left, left before you do a 6-stroke roll. So it would be right, left, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, right. I'm going to play left, right, right, left, right, right, left, left, right, left. So that little add-on is an 8th note long, right? We're playing 16th note triplets, which are each triplet is the length of an 8th note. So if I add in this add-on, I move the whole rhythm over by an 8th note. So watch. I'm going to play on the downbeat, then I'll do the add-on, and I'll play on the ands. Then I'll flip it back around, back to the downbeat, then I'll move it to the ands. And it's a good thing to practice just to get used to it. So I think I'll do it on the pad first so I don't blow everybody's ears up. But it would be like this. So I really should have a metronome set up for this, but here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 4 and 1. 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. Okay, so basically, and I was counting through that just so you can hear how I'm moving that. So now I'll do it on the snare drum. Actually, I'll put it on the hi-hat. Let's put it on the hi-hat next, and we're working our way up to the snare drum. So I'm going to play that same 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3. So you can see that little add-on that, which is a piece of the rudiment, that shifts it. And it's just a fun little system that you can utilize to create syncopated rhythms with your 6-stroke roll and your 6+3 add-on. And you know, many of my students have done this sheet. So if this is new to you, make sure you download the PDF in the description and practice these things. They're super fun. Some of them you may already know, but if you know, there's always something to learn, right? There's probably some combinations that you haven't thought of. So here we go. So I'm going to play downbeats and then to the upbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do that slower. 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so you see those 2 strokes that we initially had on the lit 1, lit 2, lit 3, lit 4, that got moved over, right? So we're going, I'll do the whole thing slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now I'll put it on the snare. I'm going to shut my mic off just for my own sanity. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So now what if we just, I'll get a rhythm. I'll do a syncopation rhythm. So what if we took Ted Reed syncopation, page 38, or we go syncopation set 2, the pages before, and we just pick a source rhythm. If you go with syncopation set 2, you can utilize 4 bars of each rhythm. If you go to page 38, it's 1 bar of each rhythm, and it's a great source for improvisation and working out some things. But let's go with a repeating phrase. So I'm going to play, I'll play quarter notes for a bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 in 6-stroke rolls with 3 add-ons. So anywhere where I'm doing an 8th note, I'm doing the 3 add-on. And anywhere where I'm doing a quarter note, I'm doing a 6-stroke roll. Simple, right? So we have this. Okay. So that works really well for getting some rolling syncopated phrases happening. And, you know, again, as I get quicker, the hands start to roll in that sort of low molar. And, you know, I'd like to think that I kind of was inspired by early Buddy Rich recordings that I heard to kind of start doing this stuff. Not to say that's exactly what he was doing, but I have seen these stickings sprinkled through many different drummers that have come up with really creative ways to use it. So what if I did, you know, sort of as a little swinging snare improvisation, I'll play some different syncopated rhythms. So it's sort of fun, and you know, it sounds pretty swinging, right? So it's all triplets. I mean, we're definitely firing away, you know, syncopated, you know, those kind of ideas. But it works really well. I happen to use this most often in sort of rock and pop and blues and sort of 6/8 styles. So let's just look at how would we just squeeze it into a few different styles. So what if we did, I'll do a 6/8 kind of feel. Maybe much all 6-stroke rolls in the fills, so that works really well in there. If you were playing a blues, like a shuffle, and actually on the play along in my book, I do a little 6-stroke roll. Oh, no, I don't. I do a little flam drag thing, but I'll do a 6-stroke roll thing into an anticipation into a shuffle. I don't know, just for style analysis. So what if we did this? Works pretty well, right? Lends itself to any swinging kind of feel, but straight feels as well. So in rock, you know, I often will do that displaced one, this thing. Okay, so far we're basically using now a 6-stroke roll with a little 3 add-on. And what does the 3 add-on do? It increases it by an 1/8 note, hence making it a dotted quarter note feel. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3, and which I'm a huge fan of the 3s, right? I did a whole thing on it last week. So that's why it works so well in the 6/8 feel. Because we were going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1. 1. It almost has the shuffle living inside of my leading hand. Okay, so now we're going to start to work on some substitutions. So here's a really simple one that I like, that I definitely stole from fusion drummers. But we're going to do a 6-stroke roll, and we're going to take the add-on and stick it on the end. And we're going to do floor, kick, kick is the 3 notes. So we get this. All right, so, but I'm going to orchestrate the 6-stroke roll in a moment. We'll start with that. So it's 6, and then an extra 1/8 note on the end. Okay, so that's our 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet, and triplet, 3 triplet, and triplet. Right, so there's 2 of those, groups of 9, and then our forienda, kind of like we did last week, with the with using 3s, right? So that's kind of a nice grouping of 9 notes, right? 6-stroke roll plus the add-on. That time I reversed it. So the add-on is just 1 single note on the top, 2 on the bottom. I'm using 1 foot. I'm using that slide technique we talked about last week. So that I'm kind of walking forward on the pedal and then sliding back to start over. And maybe, you know, I'll do a little bit of technique on feet. I have some live streams coming up. I have one that I'm calling Hoofs and Paws, where we're going to work on basically interaction between hands and feet. Maybe I'll address some of the pedal stuff. So let's do this. We have that 3 add-on, but let's orchestrate the rest of the 6-stroke roll. So I'm just going to use a bucket of fish. So right, left, left, right, left, right is our 6-stroke roll, which, by the way, on its own could work, right? So that's just using, like, if you're on a 4-piece kit, that's a nice way to orchestrate that. So now we add on the 3 notes. So now I'm actually ending that on the floor tom, and I have one. I don't have them numbered this week for you, but I have one of the combinations uses that. 4 minutes to go. What? Holy moly, time goes by quick. So we're almost down to the end of this thing, but let me just wow, that's seriously crazy. All right, so check this out. There was so much more I wanted to get to. I hope you're all hanging with me on this. I know I didn't get in as deep as I wanted to because this gets way deeper and into some heavier stuff. However, that is in the PDF, but let's just check out this last thing. So I'm going to alternate where the ending stroke, the 3, starts and ends. So I'm going to go. So I'm going to move that back and forth so that we end on the floor tom, we end back on the snare. So that's kind of a nice rolling feel. It's a little, it's actually really easy to play once you work on it. It's kind of a big fill, right? It's not like going to be like, hey, you know, like some little love ballad. Baby, I love you. I remember the day I met you. We went to the movies and we got some popcorn, extra butter. Right, so we're not going to be, you know, it's not stylistically going to work there, but it's super fun to play. I'm pretty sure I stole that from a bunch of fusion dudes. So I'm just going to check this out. I have another substitution, which I can't really get into completely explaining. It's in this little sheet, but watch this. So I'll do a little reversal. So I'm moved it over an 8th note. 1 and triplet, 2 triplet, and triplet. So I'm using the 6 in there with the bass drum substitution, but moving it an 8th note. So right? Nice, really fun rolling sound. And, you know, we could put that up on top. I do have a problem with mic placement tonight, but. So I'm using that da 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 da. That's with that add-on. And by the way, however many add-ons you want to put on, that will. 1 would be an 8th note, 2 would be a quarter note, 3 would be a dotted quarter note, right? So we could go. So I did 1 and 2 and. Right? And of course, you know, so it works in swing as well. Maybe there's our little 6 plus 3. So super useful little fun rudiment that
if you're looking for ways to expand your rudimental palette on the drum set, this is like a whole bunch of ways. Just this one part of the lesson is a 6-page deal. And then I have those Motown Fill substitutions, and then the basic 6-stroke roll at the top. And again, using it in the grooves, mess around with that idea. Even if you're doing club dates and you're playing a bunch of dance stuff, or if you're working for a dance artist, if you have a big gig, you're probably not watching this because you don't need this tutorial, but check this out. So what if you're doing, sort of like a heavy dance type feel? So right? That could work super well on top. Put in the sprinkles on the icing there, sprinkles on the cake. How much time do we have? Are we basically we're done, right? So here's what we're gonna do. I will probably wind up doing a part 2 to a couple of these live streams. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, put them down in the comments. If you have, are there any questions up there? Nothing at the moment. Oh, okay. Thank you, Rocco. What do you call it?
The drag triplet or the edit Motown drag.
Edit Motown drag. I like it, Rocco. Good idea.
And there was one other question before. They just wanted to know if it was an important rudiment.
I think it's an important rudiment. Who asked that?
Nico the filmmaker.
Oh, Nico the filmmaker. Listen, Nico, work on that one. Put it in your Godzilla movie. If you can, I'll tell you what, if you could get Godzilla or in your movies or King Kong doing some 6-stroke rolls, that'd be some serious stuff, wouldn't it? So that's kind of, intro, kind of an intro to using it on the drum set. I know I sprinkled in a lot of really busy ones, but don't forget the really simple, straightforward, that's the stuff that you can utilize right away. And name the song. I'm going to play the drum part. And then you have to guess which song I'm thinking in my head. That's all I'm going to give you. So, but listen, that was my girl, by the way. So, there's a bunch of early tunes that had this in it. So this has been kicking around since, I would say, in the Motown era, so in the 60s, and it's still being used. And even if, go back to the 80s and 90s and listen to some Phil Collins records, he used them all the time on those things. Eagles, Don Henley used it. This has been used many, many, many times and still continues to get used. So practice, go get all this stuff, download it, practice it, and I'll see you on the next live stream, which we will be doing a trailer, and we'll tease it. And I believe we're doing hoofs and paws next week, a bunch of foot and hand substitutions, and go out and check out the book. And we'll see you next time. Roll the credits, Billy.